اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. So today in this video, essentially very quickly, I want to make it quick because I don't like waffling and stuff, and this is a topic which I could go on forever about. And the topic really is, how do I approach A levels? Let me just once again double check, I'm screen sharing. Okay, cool. Um a variety of things. Now of course we're in September time, so I don't know, this may be useful next year, inshallah, or this year. It's open for year 12s and year 13s as well, because sometimes even in year 13, you need to think about how to approach year 13 and just A levels in general. Sometimes you want to reflect on the lessons. And now, I have like a general thing in my head of how I'm going to do this, but once again, it's quite spontaneous, whatever comes to my head, inshallah. Very firstly, college or sixth form? That's a question people have. Now, very quickly, I'm gonna look at a few pros and cons. Me personally, I went to a sixth form. I went to a high school, which then was into a sixth form. So I was in that school for 7 years. Now, a benefit I found of staying in my sixth form was, firstly, I liked all the teachers, and like I knew them, of course. So it just made it a lot more fun, a lot more easier for me, and it was a lot easier for me to ask them questions because the class size was a lot smaller as well. Sixth forms, it depends which sixth form you go to, but generally they tend to be quite smaller. Um, College, I can't speak loads about it because, of course, I didn't go. From what I've heard of from other people, of course, class sizes are much bigger. So, of course, that means that I don't know. I mean, in my sixth form, it was more of like a one-to-one kind of style because it was such a small class. Sometimes I was the only person in class, because I think some classes I had only my chemistry class in year 13 only had two people in it. So it was basically one-to-one or one-to-two. So it was very personalized teaching. I really enjoyed that. Now in sixth in college, it's a different approach. So in college, it's much bigger class sizes. So what that means is the personalized aspect decreases much more. Now, a big question people say is, oh, but I don't like my teachers. Oh, good teacher, bad teacher. The thing you have to understand is the fact that wherever you go, you're going to have some teachers where not necessarily that they're a bad teacher, but some teachers where their teaching method just doesn't work for you. That's normal. Everyone works in different ways. Now, that doesn't mean that they're a bad teacher. Some teachers, their teaching method works for you amazingly. So it's quite subjective what you think works for you and what doesn't. So some people, they look at their sixth form and they think, you know what, I want to go to college because they'll be amazing teachers. That doesn't have to be the case. Every teacher teaches differently. So you need to bear this in mind. Another thing, sixth form is generally much more like it's less competitive. Generally, it's less competitive. Now, my one, I was basically the only medicine applicant, so competition was zero. Now, of course, judge it. If you go to your stay in your sixth form, it could be the competition is much less. It could be the competition is much more. So you need to look at this as well. There's a variety of factors you need to consider. Friendship groups, friendships, they alter with time. Like a lot of people, they want to stay with their friendship group. That's a good idea, I guess. Me personally, I was like my friendship, or not really a group as such, but like my, because I keep friendships quite individual, but my friendships were in like a different college. They were like in different schools and stuff. So main thing I want to say though is that the 2 years will happen no matter what. Me personally, I didn't mind it because I still saw the friends like every week, every other week, so it was okay for me. Um, what else would I say? Independence. Independence. Generally, you would associate this more with college because I don't know. I don't know if they chase you up as much. Of course, look into a video or something or ask people who go to college for a better point of view into this. But in something I really liked about Cates was that, of course, you have that independence naturally, but then you also have that accountability because if, for example, a student isn't doing as well as they can, then the teacher will make sure that you're attending the interventions, the extra classes. Now, I found this amazing, the fact that there were extra classes and stuff, and there's an emphasis that you need to attend this. Of course, college, I'm generalizing, but it's obviously there's more people. So the accountability level, I'd assume, is much less. Once again, look into it and ask people who do go to college. In terms of how should I study, there's a variety of different methods, and it depends on what you really what's it called, in terms of what works best for you. And you have, the biggest thing I have to say is, by my screen, number one, trial and error. You have to try out different things, okay? Trial and error means that, let's say, for example, I tried out flashcards. flashcards are an outstanding way to revise. So I don't actually want to use that example. Let's say I tried out making quote unquote aesthetic notes, meaning like they all look nice and pretty, like you know those Pinterest kind of notes, pink highlighters, green highlighters, pastel colors, all this kind of stuff. And then I realized, okay, you know what? Looks amazing, amazing notes, but have I learned anything? No. Can I explain it? No. It's not an active form of revision. It's a passive form because okay, it feels nice because you're like, okay, yay, I've got through the whole topic. That's amazing. But has it actually benefited me? Most of the time, no. That's something I noticed. I didn't go for like the really aesthetic notes, but they were quite tidy, alhamdulillah, quite neat. Was it beneficial? Okay, in understanding, but I made a mistake of I genuinely just copied directly from textbook to a thing. And what I did was, which I guess worked for me a tiny bit back then. It wasn't a horrible strategy, but I essentially went from big amount of information and I condensed it. So I made the big notes, made it smaller notes, more condensed, more concise. This has worked for me throughout my studies in GCSE and kind of into year 12. But then year 12 and year 13, I realized that one steady method doesn't work. That's the biggest thing misconception people have. All right, misconception. It's the fact that people think, you know what, I'm just going to revise through one way. Something in medicine I've noticed is the fact that it doesn't work like that. You can't just use one form of revision method and just think that's amazing. It works for me for everything. It doesn't. I did biology, chemistry, sociology. Biology and chemistry, they're kind of a similar way of revising in terms of understanding, memorizing, revising, applying. Maths maybe a bit different. Sociology completely different. Sociology was essay based, so I had to memorize sociologists. I had to apply my knowledge. I had to evaluate. I had to do pros, cons, link them together, link concepts together. So it's a different way of revising. Now, also in the same subject, let's say biology, it could be for the first topic you revised with notes. The second topic you revise with flashcards. Some topics maybe not that hard. Me personally, enzymes, I never found it too difficult, alhamdulillah. All praise to God. So I didn't I obviously I focus on it. Like this is something I really wanted to clear up a lot. Is when, for example, me or anyone else, we say that a topic is quote unquote easy or it's simpler, that doesn't mean that you put no effort or you put limited effort. What we mean or what I mean when I say that is that it is simple once you have put the effort. When you've put so much effort into it, it becomes easy. Some topics you have put effort into it, and then let's say you left it for a few weeks, a few months. Now that whole topic is gone. That's why you have to focus on understanding, and you have to realize that sometimes it's really subjective. Some topics are difficult for some, easy for others. One topic which I really struggled with at the time. Now, alhamdulillah, I'm a biology tutor, so it's different. I can look at it from the other point of view, and I try to approach this. Like, for example, when I'm teaching, one topic was protein synthesis and the whole. It's called nucleic acid and functions. I think it's topic 1.5 in the example that I studied, and I found it really difficult because there was a lot of content. It was really confusing for me. I had to look at the enzymes, look at all the different enzymes involved. But I realized the best thing to do was to break it all down. If you approach something with a mindset that is difficult, you're going to struggle no matter what. If you approach it with the mindset that, okay, I want to try and understand as much as I can, and you keep a very optimistic and positive mindset, your mindset in your studies is the most important thing. If your mindset is that it's everything is difficult, it's more of like a victim mindset. You think it's negative, everything is difficult, and what's it called? I don't know. I'm struggling with this, struggling with that, and it's really negative. But if you think of it from the other point of view, it's a positive mindset. You think, okay, this is difficult, I'm struggling with it, but let me take on criticism, constructive criticism. I'm struggling, let me ask my peers, let me ask my teachers. If I'm struggling a lot, maybe I'll ask some adults, some teachers, tutors, whatever it is, maybe some YouTube videos. YouTube videos, very useful. I mean, I guess I'm uploading this to YouTube, so I pray that it's useful, inshallah, God willingly. Um, so you take your knowledge from a variety of places, take feedback from a variety of places. Third thing I want to say is reflection. Reflection, put a full stop there. Reflection is crucial. If you live a life without reflection, it's meaningless. It's dangerous. Like reflection, if you practice reflection in your day-to-day life, that means, let's say, for example, I don't know, this is like, no, I won't use this actually. I got this. I think my sister made this for me. It's like a heart, it's made of clay or something. Imagine I got this and I just threw it at the wall. It's gonna smash. Now imagine my sister made me another one. I said, wow, that's nice. I threw it at the wall again. Now, of course, that seems quite stupid, but some people, and I'm not saying I'm not involved, like I'm not one of these people, because we all have these mistakes in our life, but we have to reflect on it, we have to adapt. is that we make the same mistakes again and again. We don't reflect on our life. Let's say, for example, it's September now. Your mocks probably are coming up in November. Maybe some people in like their colleges and stuff, it's more so like December to January. It really depends on the college or the sixth form. But you may flop it. It's completely fine on the condition that you learn. You look, okay, I made aesthetic notes. I always go with aesthetic notes because it's a common place where people, it feels productive, but it's not as productive as it feels. Flashcards are an absolute nightmare to do. Flashcards, if you're genuinely doing the purest form of active recall, which is flashcards, you're literally constantly testing yourself. You make a billion mistakes, but that is what leads to progression. It's like you make so many mistakes to the point where you eventually start learning. You overcome the barriers, inshallah, God willingly. And yeah, so reflection is very important. Make sure you reflect on the things. If you're going from year 12 to year 13, okay, you may have got outstanding grades, three A's. I don't think you can get A stars in year 12, but three A's, for example, or four A's. Or I think that person, I think she had, I can't remember, was it 30 A's or 28? I don't know. Allahumma barak. That's outstanding. And it's a reflection of the effort she puts in. We have a very big mistake and an issue where we look at the final outcome, but we don't look at the effort that goes into that. We don't think about the effort that goes into it because most of the time that effort happens behind closed doors. Sometimes it's locking in when you want to go out with your friends, family, whatever it is, and you think to yourself, you know what, I have a test in a few days' time, but you know, there's a motive there right now to go to a dessert place or something like that, and you think, let's go there instead. So I'll waste a few hours. I'll come home. I'll be tired. It's fine. I'll go sleep, and you've now wasted a lot of time. Wasting time is a huge issue. So make sure you hold yourself accountable. You have to understand that I don't know who I'm quoting. I don't know who it is, but I really like this quote. Like I said, I can't remember who it is. I do like giving people credit when I'm like saying their stuff, but I genuinely can't remember. You can find it probably on YouTube. I don't know if it was someone like big or like famous or someone like just a YouTube channel, but it was to do with how to succeed. It said success comes through having used like uncomfortable situations. Some people you're comfortable in the complacency, whereby, let's say, for example, um, I don't know, you're not overcoming your mistakes. You're just there, you're making the mistakes again and again. You're thinking, okay, you know what? Do I really want to lock in right now? Do I really want to put the effort in right now? Let me just be complacent. Let me go to sleep because it's comfortable. It's something we find comfort in because it's easy. Success isn't easy. You have to go through a lot of uncomfortable situations. But if you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, that is going to be a winning strategy because you're putting yourself in the hard situations and you're able to overcome them because you're placing yourself in those situations. If you don't try and attack those situations where you're tired, you're lazy, you're burnt out, all of these kind of things, you don't try and attack them, you're going to be stuck where you are forever. So it's very important. Reflect on what you're doing and take action. Don't just like go with your friends, speaks, I don't know, about like some issues or whatever it is, or speaking or whatever to whoever about whatever, and then it's all words. You're not actually putting it into action. Words without action are meaningless. Plans without actions are meaningless. You have to act upon these. The plans you make, of course, very beneficial. Another thing, advice, tips and advice. This is something I always emphasize. Tips and advice in life from elders, people who've gone through the process, whether you're applying to medicine or dentistry or whatever it is. And the tips make it so much easier. But if you don't actually apply it and you put in the hard work, it's meaningless. It's useless. You might as well have not listened to it. It's like it's gone through one ear and it's gone out the other ear. So it's important. Reflect as well. Okay. Um, if I think of anything else, I'll come back to like the whiteboard. But another big question is how do I use my free periods? Free periods, if for those who don't know, I mean, I guess most of you should know by now, September time. But in the future, inshallah, essentially in A levels, if you take three A levels, most of the time you'll have a few free periods. So, like, let's say, for example, I may have lesson one and lesson two. I got biology, three and four. I may have free periods, and five and six maybe chemistry. Excuse me. Now, the big question is, what do I do in these free periods? And the answer is, it depends on you. I was speaking to one of the brothers in medicine, very nice brother, Allahumma barak, and he was telling me that in his free periods, he used to go and socialize with his friends. And I was really shocked because I was like, that's like, I've never heard of someone actually saying that that's a good thing. And he got into medicine, mashallah, it worked for him. And I was really like taken aback because I was confused. How can you socialize when you should be locking in? Now, this has made me come to a realization, and shall write down here, is you need to do everything with purpose. The biggest mistake you can make is wasting time. If you choose to use your freeze to revise, that's fine. If you choose to use your freeze to socialize with your friends and do other things, that's fine. Don't use your freeze and just go on TikTok, scroll for 50 minutes or whatever it is, and be or just not have any meaning in your time. Meaningless or like meaningless activities will eventually just cause for your downfall because you're wasting so much time. TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. I think I said this before. I think Snapchat has a scrolling like reels or whatever kind of option. These apps that are made for you to like waste time, and there's no benefit that comes out of it because of course there is some benefit, but if you actually compare the pros to the cons are much higher, especially with wasting time. I'm not going to get too much into the whole thing of scrolling and all that kind of stuff, but have purpose in what you do. If you're, this is something I used to do a lot and I still do, it's something I need to try and overcome, inshallah. So I'm going to try and work towards that, God willingly. But it's where, let's say, for example, and I used to do this a lot in my freeze, let's say with like general peers and stuff in our sixth form common room. So we're sitting down, we've had our lesson, and we're just going to spend the time. Now we've got laptops in front of us and we're speaking. So it's socializing and it's working. But in reality, we're not doing either. We're not socializing and we're not working. Because if I want to socialize, I'd prefer to go, I don't know, out for dessert. I'd go mountain climbing or something like that. Just something fun. I'm not like a motivated mountain climber, but that's just something that came to my head. But the biggest problem I have, and a lot of students have, is the middle ground, where we're not doing one thing, we're not doing the other. If we went out and we did entirely socializing, that's beneficial. It has purpose and it's good because it allows for you to cope with the stress that you're dealing. It's a coping mechanism, for example. And it allows for that work-life balance as well. Family time, all of these different things. So when you want to socialize, you socialize fully, you have fun fully. When you want to study, you need to lock in fully. Don't get stuck in this middle ground where your laptop's in front of you, your notes in front of you, and you're speaking to your friend and now you just wasted the whole time. You haven't benefited. Maybe you've made a few notes and all this kind of stuff, but you haven't benefited much. So make sure, look into that and try to make sure your purpose. And now it's not easy, it's difficult. You have to sometimes, let's say, for example, you're realizing, okay, look, the time's going, time's ticking. I should do something purposeful with my time right now in my freeze. Go and maybe go for a walk, relax a tiny bit, do something which will benefit you, inshallah, because that's the most important thing. I hope that makes sense. So in your free periods, you could maybe lock in. I think it's hard unless you've got a long free period. For me personally, I struggle to revise in my sixth form common room. So maybe I'd go to the cafe, maybe I'd go to a nearby library or something like that. Just put earphones in and just revise. Um, I'm not even going to get into the topic of caffeine, but I don't know. I think it helps sometimes when you're tired and like you're locking in and stuff. But yeah, anyway, that's like a video by itself, coffee and everything like that. What else would I say? How to use your free periods. Okay, another thing, which someone said, and I think is a very smart thing, which I did actually do, not consciously, but kind of subconsciously, was they did admin work in their free periods, like printing off past papers, maybe some printing off CVs, all of these kind of stuff, just general admin work for sixth form, for applying to medicine, dentistry, law, engineering, whatever it is, just general admin work, which of course is very beneficial as well, inshallah. Um, Something else I want to discuss because the time I've got is coming to an end, well, inside this inside this call because I've got something to do right after. But what's it called? Three A levels or four A levels? This is a common question. Now, look at your university you're applying to. Look at the course you're applying to. With medicine, is there a benefit of doing four A levels? Look at the university you're applying to. Maybe there is a slight benefit, but in general, avoid four A levels. You need that time to do other stuff. Four A levels means you have no freeze or basically no free. Because I believe the free times you have is normally just like a fourth A level cut. So the people who do four A levels, their timetable is basically all packed. I don't actually know if they have any freeze, maybe one or two. Um, so it is stressful and you have to look at sustainability. You can't just look at motivation. This is something which I have a habit of, which I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm still trying to judge it. But after I try and think of a plan, very rarely I'll act upon it straight away because I've noticed that when you have a plan or you're motivated very much, if you act upon it straight, with me personally, this is just a personal reflection, apply it, maybe beneficial. I'm still reflecting on this with myself. But with the like you know, that instant like dopamine kind of like motivation you have, sometimes when you act upon it, it goes amazing, and then collapses. So with me personally, I kind of wait until the that instant quick motivation dies down a bit. So maybe 1 or 2 days after making a plan, attending a lecture, whatever it is, and then after that, I will try and make a plan and I'll try and slowly build towards it because I've noticed in life, sustainability is so important. The reason why I don't bother editing these videos and I put very little effort into the admin side of these videos, I'm not trying to make them special. I'm just trying to make it, inshallah, impactful, God willingly, trying to make them useful. I'm not doing transitions and thumbnails, all this kind of stuff. If I do in the future, Allahu Alam, God knows best. But right now I'm not bothering with this because if I get into those little niche things, I'm gonna lose them. I'm not gonna really have time enough to do this video. So like the way I've found a way to make these videos, inshallah, is very little time. Just like this, what has it been, 20 minutes or something? Inshallah, just doing something like that. So look towards sustainability. Sustainability is important. Be practical. Be yeah, sustainable as much as you can. Very quickly, balancing life during A levels. I would say, what would I say? Make a priority list. You can't see it because it's like lower down on the thing behind me, but I have a priority list. So, for example, number one is my religion, Islam. So maybe like my 5 prayers, trying to read Quran every day, inshallah, and so forth. Second thing, family time. Third thing, and family time, maybe just like sitting with my family, like it depends with each family type and so forth. So I'm not going to get too much into that actually. But third thing is some personal commitments I have. Um, and as well as this, but the thing is, these are all stuff which I can do in a day normally. Fourth one is my like medicine degree and stuff like this. That doesn't mean that my medicine degree goes low, but that means that sometimes when we are pursuing something, we focus so much on it that we lose the meaning of other stuff. We don't make time for the other stuff. So I know, for example, with me personally, because of stress and like medicine and stuff, I'll always prioritize medicine. So I have to make a conscious effort to prioritize the other stuff because medicine will always be a priority for me because it's something I have to do, inshallah. So I have to make sure I'm prioritizing and I'm completing the other activities and rights that I need to fulfill and the other activities and commitments, inshallah. And as well as this, like the other stuff, for example, gym, and all this kind of stuff, is all on my list. I think with me personally, I've noticed that when my priorities mix around and I prioritize the wrong thing, or I don't prioritize other stuff, like for example, my mental health, which I believe is very closely linked to my physical health. So if I'm not prioritizing gym, I may notice, okay, my brain just isn't working. I'm not finding studying fun. And I have a gym session, I realize, okay, everything becomes much more fun. For me personally, I've realized there's a huge link between my physical health and my mental health. So I've realized have a priority list. Look at your priorities honestly. Don't take on too much. Um, I have a habit sometimes of taking on a lot, which is something inshallah I'm working towards and trying to adjust accordingly. Um, I've noticed that if I, for example, with me personally, I don't have social media. I try to avoid all of that stuff, not have any accounts in it, not scrolling, anything like that, and trying to be as purposeful as, inshallah, as I can. And alhamdulillah, I've noticed it makes me have more time for me to do stuff like this, small stuff. Like, what has it been? 25 minutes. I need to close this call like this, recording soon, inshallah. Final message I have is lock in, place your trust in God, and make sure you prioritize stuff that makes you happy because your stress that comes from sixth form, if you're watching this video, you're somebody who probably is trying to lock in because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. I hope you're not watching this video next to your exams. I don't know. But yeah, I would say make time for the fun stuff because if you just focus entirely on studying and stuff like this, you're gonna leave the stuff that's actually fun to you. For example, like I've done this a lot in my life where I've locked in so much to the point where um I've sacrificed like family life by socializing and stuff like this. And I've realized that the people who socialize, prioritize family life, and all of these things, they'll also succeed, inshallah, by the will of God. They'll also do well because it helps your mental well-being. Sometimes when you lock in so much into one thing, eventually start hating it because like for example, people applying to medicine, you may start hating the application process. You may start hating this idea. In medicine as well, sometimes we as med students face this, where we focus so much on it, we forget to do the fun stuff in life. The fun stuff helps make us sustainable in our career paths. So important, prioritize that. And finally, like I said, just lock in. Words without action is meaningless. Reflect on your life. And I wish you all the best by the will of God. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings be upon you.